Hi everybody and good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of Race on Main Street. I hope you're having a great day. It's a terrific day in Philadelphia, fall. It feels like fall. We're happy that you're joining us. So sit back and relax. We have a great show planned for you. I'm your host, Stu Race. In a little while, we'll be talking with Helene Rubin from Bartash Printing, a great Philadelphia institution. She's going to have lots of information about the printing industry, business in Philadelphia. They've been here employing people for a very long time, so we're very pleased to have her here. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce my co-host and my business partner from Simon Capital Management, and I guess most importantly, certainly my brother, Stuart Race. Stuart, welcome. How's your day going? It's a great day in Philadelphia today.
It's a great day in Philadelphia. The air's crisp, the leaves are turning. I was out running yesterday, the leaves are, I got hit with a leaf, the leaves are turning. It's a beautiful time of year here in Philadelphia and the whole Northeast.
Yeah, it's great. I just had, interestingly enough, a conversation with a client of mine who got back from Maine. So he lives in South Philly, decided when the Pope was here that he was going to take off to go up to Maine. He hadn't been there. Did that. Yeah, and he said it was really pretty remarkable, the actual, what he got to see in terms of just endless colorful leaves all over. He said it's really pretty breathtaking. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's a great day. It's a great day. So I know, as always, we talk about certain items that might be topical to what's going on in and around Main Street. So what do you have for us?
Well, today we're going to talk about the California and the new livestock antibiotic law. And some people say antibiotic. It's the same thing.
Yep, we get it.
California, why is that, that's not local.
Right.
Well, California just passed a law with the toughest limits in the nation on the use of antibiotics on healthy livestock. All right, now healthy livestock. Antibiotics are used in the same way that sometimes growth hormones or steroids are used with healthy livestock to create a larger animal. That when they're on antibiotics, they process their food better and they get bigger. The problem is, I mentioned California. The reason is that California is generally the bellwether in circumstances of this nature. They lead the pack. So if California is doing this, you can look for it to start happening in other states with regard to their antibiotic laws.
So we'll see it in Philadelphia, in the surrounding area, probably. Maybe not tomorrow, but certainly maybe within the year.
It's coming. Okay. It's coming. The CDC calls the overuse of antibiotics, and they classify it as an urgent public health care problem. And it's not just the antibiotics that you get, from your doctor or from the pediatrician for the kids. It's these antibiotics that are being fed to animals and they're being overused. Now, what does that mean to us, right? 23,000 Americans died last year as a result of antibiotic-resistant infections.
Wait, so let me back up. So antibiotics are used to help fight off infections.
Right.
Throughout the year, maybe not all, but lots of folks we know, kids, I have young kids at home,
sure.
Antibiotics because of the abundance of germs in school and in public places. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, there's an antibiotic. So it's found obviously in other places. So You're saying that they have a circumstance where they get sick, and even with the antibiotics they're taking, they can't fight off what's infecting them.
That's exactly correct. The buzzword, superbug.
Yep.
Okay. So what happens is apparently people, it used to be that doctors would warn us, if you're going to take antibiotics, you have to take the whole course of antibiotics, even if you start feeling better, because there's going to be bugs left in the population, even if you start feeling better, and if you leave those bugs, they're going to develop a resistance. So that's why you got to take it all the way through.
Oh, I never knew that. I always thought take it all the way through because that's what's going to make you better. I didn't realize that it actually created sort of like a monster inside of you.
Yeah, and I can give a shout out to Betsy, my wife is a pediatrician, and she's always banging the drum about how it's important that antibiotics aren't the be all and end all, but when they're prescribed, they have to be taken as given. But what's important here is you have to understand the cow or the steer, I guess, is given the antibiotic, and now you don't have a choice.
Right.
You're eating that steer or chicken or pig or whatever, or egg, and you're getting a dose of antibiotics without being able to complete the entire course. So all these people, these 23,000 Americans that died, you know, what's the effect of that? Okay, on me, you know, I don't want to belittle the fact that 23,000 people dying is a problem in and of itself.
Right, right.
But the greater effect on Main Street.
Right.
Okay.
And the economics of Main Street.
Well, that's what I'm talking. Yeah,
right,
that's
right.
what I'm going to talk about. I
Yes.
mean, obviously, the social issue of these people dying and the effect it has on their families is unspeakable.
Sure.
But from a dollars and cents standpoint, I will tell you that last year the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, the people that we look to protect us from this kind of thing, did a study at Cook County Hospital, which is a very busy hospital in Chicago. Now, this is one hospital, mind you. Okay. They discovered that there were 188 patients admitted in the calendar year 2012, so it took them a while to get there. In 2012, there were 188 patients admitted to Cook County Hospital with antibiotic-resistant infections. Now, those 188 people, and I don't have the statistic on how many of them pulled through. I don't know what it was. Not all of them did, but the important thing for the economic question is that their hospital stays averaged $20,000 in out-of-pocket costs.
So let me back up a second. So their hospital stay was much more expensive than $20,000.
Correct.
At the end of their stay, that's the bill
That's the
that
bill.
they were responsible for.
That is correct.
Okay, so it could have been hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Of course,
Yeah.
and that's why we have insurance, and that's why we
Sure.
spread risk in that fashion.
But the point is that it's this gigantic number affecting
That family,
Correct.
and then the families in that community,
Right.
and the greater people, and the greater chain of people, because as you know, not everybody can afford to pay their hospital bills, so others of us are picking up that slack. But you say, well, how could this be? Well, the average hospital stay for these people was 9 days longer than people who came in with infections that could be fought by antibiotics. All right? So, and what you have to understand is that's just one hospital.
Right.
So what's taking place across the entire country is a deleterious effect on the amount of money that's having to be spent to fight this kind of thing. And I think that the key, and this could be the takeaway, if you will, at a time when we are having knock 'em down, drag 'em out debates in government, politics, socially, and otherwise, as to how health care should be properly delivered to the middle class of this country, this is an issue that is very important to Main Street in the face of the Americans, the Healthy Care Act. I'm trying. I can't bring it up right now and I don't want to say Obamacare, but I just did.
Right. That's
so,
fine.
But in that situation, this is something that we have to address, that we have to be aware of.
And one of the interesting things that you had mentioned prior to going into some of the details was healthy animals versus non-healthy animals.
Yeah.
So like I get the idea that a farmer has an animal, the animal's not healthy. In order to be able to help that animal along, there's a very good chance that we could not lose the animal. It's a cost, it's an expense to
Sure.
that farmer. So it might be a very inexpensive way to take that animal who is ill, fix it, put it back in the herd. Additionally, we obviously, if we have a sick animal, it could infect lots of others.
That's the issue, right?
In the herd,
Right.
or in the hen house, or whatever it might be. That's fair. We get that.
Right, and as a final word, the California law, and I'm sure others that will follow it, have carve-outs for that situation. Sure. You know, calling the vet in and having him stop some kind of epidemic that results in us having to pay $7 for an egg,
right,
because half the chickens died,
that's right,
is not acceptable. So right. to take care of unhealthy animals is one thing, but to use it just to beef up the animal right. is another thing entirely.
Yeah, it's amazing that effect that we thought would be a good thing, okay, how it's affecting Main Street, middle-class America, how it's filtering down from there. It's interesting. We'll have to stay on top of that.
Absolutely.
So we have a great guest today, Helene Rubin. She's here from Bartash Printing, and we're gonna get to Helene in just a second. I just have to make one quick comment. I sort of know Helene. I actually know her husband.
It's full disclosure.
Yeah, I have to put that out there. It's been a long time, but as you might recall,
I do.
many years ago. Her husband was actually my camp counselor.
He was.
Probably way before, because he was just in college at the time, and I was a little kid. And he was actually a great role model. I was really very fortunate to have him as a counselor, and I think about him often, even all these years later. So it was great. So
He, as I recall, he had something to do with your love of music.
yeah, he's a big music guy, so that was certainly part of it. So it was great. So
Well,
so what do we
shout
have
out to Scott.
on the plate today with Helene?
Well, with Helene is from Bartash Inc., which was previously known as Bartash Printing. Now, this company was founded in Southwest Philadelphia 60 years ago. At that time, there was a single printing press in about 10,000 square feet of space, and shortly thereafter, the company was taken over by another family member. The founder had brought in another family member, and this other family member grew the business to its current operational size, which is 5 press lines in 100,000 square feet. The company remains family-owned to this day with over 200 employees and has been ranked as one of the, and I want to get this right, top 20 magazine printers in North America by Publishing Executive Magazine. So today we have Helene Rubin, and I'd like to say welcome and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great that you're here. I mean, it's a rich history, there's no question about it, starting all the way back in 1952, the early 50s, generations ago. Give us a little bit of history of the company and how you've gone from 1952 to the present day now.
Not easy.
I bet.
Well, when the company was started, it was started by Joe Bartash. Joe Bartash was the publisher, editor of the Southwest Globe Times, which served Southwest Philadelphia. It was a community paper. And he brought in his son-in-law, Sidney Simon. And from there, Sidney just grew the business, transitioned more away from the community paper, more towards commercial printing, and then grew it exponentially. The company started in one of the row homes on Woodland Avenue. And if you've ever seen one of the printing presses, they're enormous. They are really the size of, as a point of comparison, like a locomotive, a steam engine locomotive.
Goodness.
They're very big. So they had one press, and they grew it into 2. And then we moved from there over to our current location, which is on 54th and Grays. And it's 100,000 square feet. We added 3 more press lines. Our newest press line was put in 5 years ago. And it's just taken off from there. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, just print all on newsprint. That's our specialty. Okay. It's actually called cold set web printing. So it's a fancy way of saying we print on newsprint.
You got my next question, because I was going to ask you. I saw on the website cold press, and I wanted to understand what that is.
Well, everybody, I think, just kind of generalizes printing to, okay, it's just ink on paper. But there's many different variations and many different niches within the printing industry. So our niche is cold set web. It's the same type. It can be newspapers, like your daily newspaper, the Inquirer, or it can be in a magazine format. What we do is we do print some newspapers or broadsheets, but we also serve niche publishers with specialty publications that distribute really throughout the country. Our service area is a 200-mile, roughly, radius around Philadelphia. So if you think of it from New England down through the Carolinas, and that's where the majority of our clients are and where their publications are.
So a typical client is asking you to do what? To put their magazine together?
Yes. So what we do is I'll back up. 95% of our business is recurring. So that means our clients publish with a set frequency, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. And when they send us their orders, we print their pages and assemble their books. So it starts in our pre-press department. That's where we optimize their files for our printing press, and I'm just really speaking in very broad terms here. Goes into the press room. We take plates that are made in the pre-press, put them on the press, print the pages according to the specifications that the publisher gives us, and then if they have finishing touches that they want on their books, like for example, if they want special covers or if they have inserts that they want to put in, then it goes into our post-press department, and that's where we put the finishing touches, put them on pallets, and then back to our warehouse and out the door for delivery.
And so I have a question about that. So you see, you know, I can picture exactly what you're talking about when I walk into like my local Wawa. There's very often there's going to be some type of newsprint type material that might be free to the consumer that comes in. It could be a real estate guide or it could be an automotive guide. Mm-hmm. It sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. So not only are we servicing those businesses in the area, the actual business who's putting them together and assembling them happens to be right in our backyard.
Exactly. Chances are in Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, you walk into any convenience store, grocery store, and you see those racks, there's a good indication one, if not all, have been printed at our facility. In addition, when you go to your mailbox and you get these publications in your mail, chances are they were printed at our facility.
That's amazing because, I mean, what's amazing to me is, and you said 24/7, the presses are running 24/7. These are very often weekly, you know, I see like in the local stores weekly. There's a lot of people in the region, there's a lot of people to cover. That's a lot of printing. I mean, it's an incredible amount of printing. I can only
deadline-driven business.
Yeah,
It is.
It's remarkable. So 24/7, like, so when you mean 24/7, it's rolling 24/7, and there's a lot going on.
Do you ever get to yell, "Stop the presses"?
No,
No,
I
you
never
don't do that? Okay.
We have a great group of people. I can't say enough about every single person that works at the company. From the crews that are actually doing the printing to every single manager at Bartash. They're just the best of the best. They have such longevity and knowledge. The average tenure of anybody at Bartash is about 15 years.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
We have very
pretty
little
amazing
turnover.
in this day and age, yeah.
And people come and they stay. It's a very family oriented atmosphere. So we go out of our way to not treat employees like employees. We treat them like a member of the family.
It's wonderful.
That's amazing. When you have 200 employees, it's a big family. So to maintain that level of employment, I'll say, where it's structured more like a family environment, that's an impressive feat. And to do that from 1952
Yes.
until now, that's a lot of lives that you're touching in the region and beyond. It's incredible. We're very thankful to have you. So in terms of the community and the community within the walls of Bartash, but the community outside of the walls, you're involved quite a bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, we're a very diverse company, and we're very proud of our diversity. We are multinational, multi-ethnicity. If you walk onto the floor, you just hear all different languages. There is a second language at Bartash. The second dominant language is French. We have a large African population that works at the company. And we work with them. They will go home to Africa to see their extended family. We work with their schedules. They'll take months off at a time, and we, allow them, allow is not the best word, afford them the opportunity to take that large of a time off without worrying that they're not going to have a job when they come home, and that helps promote that family atmosphere.
Yeah, and you use the word allow. I mean, it's fair to say that, because at the end of the day, family oriented or not, the presses still have to roll, and a business still has to be maintained, and payroll still has to be done, and responsibilities have to be met. So the idea that you give them the flexibility to do that, it's a special place. There's no question about it. So it's we are fortunate to have a company like this.
We are. One of the things I wanted to give you the opportunity also, because you had mentioned it to me when we were chatting before the camera started rolling, is talking about, the viability of the print industry.
Well, it's, in today's day and age, and with the advent of the internet and the digital age, print has taken its own fair beating. And we serve a very specific niche within the print industry. So we've been somewhat insulated from the roller coaster that you see going on with a lot of the daily newspapers. A lot of our publishers have embraced the internet and used it to help promote their printed products and promote their printed publications versus just converting right away to digital.
So rather than converting over to digital, they're using the internet and social media to promote the niche printing prospects that you're involved with.
And we haven't seen the wild fluctuations. So it's been steady for us. I mean, we didn't escape unscathed from the recession with the grand downturn in the economy.
I don't think anybody.
And I don't think anybody did, but we rebounded quite nicely in our niche. And it's enabled us to actually become stronger. So I think the recession forced all businesses to kind of look within their four walls and say, what can I do better? And with the team we have in place, and even today, I challenge them on a daily basis, look around your departments, look around, what can you do better? What can you do more efficiently? How can we make our business better? How can we make it stronger? How can we grow our business? What are different avenues that we can offer our publishers for them to embrace? And our philosophy is very simple. The more we help our publishers grow their business, the more we're going to grow our own. And that's how we've been able to maintain such a strong business throughout the time.
And you mentioned that you reach out about 200 miles from, if we're right here in the middle of the city, let's say, you reach out about 200 miles. Would it be reasonable to go further than that, or does it become like a distribution issue, or do you need to purchase and put a press, in Ohio or somewhere? How does that all work?
Proprietary information. She can tell you, but she'd have to kill you.
Well, I'm just curious. Like, can you?
Why is it geographical?
Yeah. Why exactly?
It does become logistics. Freight is expensive.
Sure.
And the farther you have to ship a product, the more expensive it is for the publisher. So chances are, once you add on the freight, they can look closer to their own location and not pay that additional freight and save money.
Yeah, I guess that makes
So,
sense.
But that's not to say we do have some very large national clients that we do printing for. And we do have a national footprint and geographical footprint with them, and we have worked out logistical partnerships to be able to move the product very economically.
Yeah, I bet you talk about freight, I bet these days with fuel prices coming down, that's probably a nice bonus in terms of this type of industry that's so dependent on that. I'm sure it's as oil prices come down, it's certainly an industry that's affected very positively by it.
Well, it sounds to me like you're doing well by Main Street in terms of keeping all those people employed, and quite frankly, keeping all of those people informed, because I need to know what apartments are available in my neighborhood at any given moment when I go into my Wawa.
Well, it's not just those. We do serve, a lot of our publications have content as well, and they serve specific niches.
Excellent.
Our clients benefit from their information not being readily available on the internet. So if the more specific the niche you serve, the less information is readily available within the digital realm. So they really hone in and they're able to maintain and grow their publications by serving those specific niches. So from antiques to sports to specific sports teams, you're really focusing on an engaged reader who is going to go out of their way, subscribe to the publication, or drive to a store to buy that publication.
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
It's great. So
Keeping Main Street informed.
yeah, it's an important piece. So I know we've talked a little bit about the time of the year. It's the fall.
It is.
Halloween's upon us, and I know you took a look at.
I did.
Some interesting things related to Halloween that I think everybody can sort of wrap their head around. That's for sure.
It's that time of year,
Yes.
and we all have little kids. My kids are getting to be not so little, and it occurred to me that in terms of commerce, what's the number one? What are the big candy sellers out
Sure.
there? So what do you think are the top? I looked up the top 10.
Yep.
What do you think is the top selling Halloween candy?
All right, so that's an interesting question. I think I know the answer to this. I read not that long ago, so it's maybe unfair, and this is going to have a
Give it a
circle around to what I think the right answer is. That Snickers are actually the most sold candy bars throughout the course of the year. Okay, throughout the
yeah. That's
wait, let me finish.
No, you're right.
Let me finish.
Of
So
course.
throughout the course of the year, they're the most sold candy. But the candy I see most advertised at this time of year
Yes.
is Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Well, you are you're very observational. Snickers came in at number 3. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups were number 1, and last year, 4 billion with a B. That's like 10 for every person in the were sold. So what struck me the most out of all of this, though, was that the good old-fashioned Hershey bar came in 4th, and 7th in the top 10 was Sour Patch Kids. I couldn't imagine that there would be chocolate. That there wouldn't be, that anything with not chocolate would be in the top. Well, anyway, so that's
You know what though? Well, first off, like my kids who are much younger than yours, are those types of candies are a big deal to them. Chocolate too, and Reese's and all that kind of stuff is a big deal to them also. But if you were to look at, and we haven't looked at this, and we don't have a measuring stick for this, Sour Patch Kids to Reese's Peanut Butter Cups,
Yeah.
while it's 7th on the list, it's hundreds of millions of miles away in terms of commerce. It's got to be. I don't know, but I would think so.
I would think so also. Well, anyway, picking up on the candy theme, next week our guest is going to be a gentleman by the name of Evan Prochniak. Evan is the CEO and owner of a Philadelphia institution, Zittner's Candies. Now, Zittner's has been in the city for over 100 years, so we're looking forward to seeing what Evan has to say about Zittner's, about Philadelphia, and about the region.
Yeah, so everybody, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you watching. Hopefully this was informative. Be on the lookout for all those printed products. Remember, if you have any additional information that you're looking for, all you have to do is go to bartash.com, and there's lots of information about the niches that they serve. If you have any needs for that, there's tons of information there. We'd certainly like to thank Helene Rubin for being here, and Bartash. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Race on Main Street. Thank you.